All Blacks and Ireland, folks, this weekend, Nations Championship round number 3. Two of the undefeated teams go into action with the All Blacks 2-0, beating the Italians and the French, the Irish beating the Japanese and the Aussies. The Eden Park record is on the line. Can the Irish be the team to finally snap the losing streak for visiting teams against the All Blacks at the Garden of Eden? We'll go through the squads which have been announced, some of the recent history, the predictions, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how this match is going to go. It looks like a cracker. 2 against 3 in the world, undefeated in this comp. There is lots to like about this one. And both teams, to be fair, have had a little bit of criticism about them. The All Blacks with the new coach, have they fired 100%? No, not yet. They're still building into it. And the Irish made a bunch of changes last week for the game against Japan. Didn't look as fluid as it could, but he's brought back a bunch of big guns for this one. For the ABs, very stable in the forward pack, but the big talking point is Tupou Vaa'i, who has been playing largely lock, resumes a role that he's done before in the past at number 6. So it's a bit of a beefed up forward pack for Dave this week. So De Groot, Taylor, and Lomax, no change to the front row. They will need to, I feel like, turn the screws on the Irish front row because the Irish front row has looked a little bit vulnerable. And the All Blacks could certainly use, I don't know, a feel-good scrummaging performance. The Japanese were able to turn the screws on the Irish front row, so it'd be encouraging if the All Blacks could at least match that effort. But then the All Blacks had a bit of a hard time at times with the Italians last week as well, and the Japanese did it right against them. So in the context of things, it'll be, I don't know, just a curious one to see where both front rows are at. Josh Lord is up into the second row from the bench because of Vai's switching to the flank, and Tuipulotu, Patrick, is back. I don't know why I said his last name first and his first name last, but he's back after a bit of an injury layoff as our big lump of a lock in the second row as well. So it is changed with Tupou at 6, Luke Jacobson and Ardie Savea continue on at 7 and 8. So there's plenty of tackles there. Savea for the turnovers and some ball carries, but Tupou Vaa'i, big line out is what Dave said in the press conference. So he wants a bit more height there, a bit more bulk there. The lineout, we'll get to the stats in a second, but the lineout has not been one of the initial strengths of Dave Rennie's first 2 games. So another option there at lineout time could well help with that department. But otherwise, it's pretty stable. The big number 6, I think, is the main call. Cam Roigard and Ruben Love have certainly been getting their hands on the pill a lot in the way Dave wants to play the game. So they continue on as the 19 combo. So there's no Bodie for this Nations Championship thus far at all. He's not featured in any of the 3 games now. Geordie and Quinn Tupaia resumed their midfield combo from game number 1. So Billy Proctor is out of the 23. Tupaia has been the form centre, I think, in Super Rugby and looked all right against the French. So gets another chance back in black. And then you feel like Irish and Leinster fans will feel a little bit bittersweet about seeing Geordie play the Irish again after a successful campaign with Leinster a season ago. He's been in pretty striking form as well. People give him stick for not being a big ball carrying, blockbusting, like Ngani Laumape, Ma'anonu kind of 12, but man, he's getting some pretty silky distribution going, which is the role he needs to play if you are picking him there at 12, and he's a big body. Will Jordan, who just broke that All Blacks try-scoring record, is on the right wing. He is joined by Josh Morby, who had a great, I don't want to call it a cameo, but a great debut from the bench last week. He was only supposed to get a cameo, but he ended up playing more than half the game when Leroy Carter got injured. Carter is unavailable for this one. Likewise, Finning and Orfor. So Josh Morby took the test match rugby like a duck to water. It'll be a different test against the Irish from the Italians. But man, the guy is a fullback as well. So hopefully under the high balls could add a bit of security. Played with a bit of confidence, not just to shovel the ball out wide, but took the inside option when it was on. So I'm pretty keen to see how he goes. And we've still got the dual playmakers thing with D-Mac there at fullback. Bench-wise, it is back to the game 1 style with Almua and Nomia. A couple of the Hurricanes guys being there, and Fletcher Newell is in on the bench as well. So they'll be looking for a bit of oomph from the bench in terms of the scrumming power. Anton Segner is in the 19 jumper alongside Peter Lakai. So it's kind of 2 loosies there. I guess with Vaa'i there, we've already got the extra lock starting if needs be. I think Lakai's inclusion is maybe a little bit for Satiti's form. Satiti didn't really have his best outing for the ABs last week, so he's out of the 23. And Lakai looked good in game number 1 when he started. Ratsama, ALB, and Caleb Clark are the 3 back replacements. There was still a 5-3 split for Dave, with Caleb Clark being a guy to come in. Again, under the high balls, one would assume Caleb Clark, it's a potential part of the reason he has been chosen as well. For the Irish, remember they mixed up their squad to play the Japanese. They rested and rotated a number of big gun players. So there's a number of guys back. Tom O'Toole is still there at loose head. If you don't follow the Irish team, he's more of a tight head by trade. But for the Irish, with a bit of a propping crisis they've got going on, he is playing loose head for another week. Sheehan is back captaining the side. He is one of the most dynamic hookers in world rugby, so look out for him, especially 5-metre tap time. And Tug Furlong is back as your starting tight head. So they will want the scrum to be much better. They've also brought back Joe McCarthy in the second row. So it's the biggest possible, I think, lump second row that the Irish can bring, with Ryan and McCarthy in the second row. So as much as the second rowers can do to help out that Irish scrum, these are your 2 locks to pick in that department. But like I said, the Irish scrum has had a bit of a question mark about it for a wee while now. So this is going to be a good test for them to see where they are at in the scheme of things. Tyke Byrne moving to 6 means the Irish have kind of likewise got a lock loose forward in that back row. The All Blacks will need to be very mindful of that guy, particularly at the breakdown. And Josh van der Fleer, tackle machine. He's one of many tackle machines for the Irish, to be fair. He replaces Timony, who started against Japan. So Van der Fleer's back after a week off, and Jack Conan switches back to number 8. So it's a really quite comparable, like, locks and loose forwards looking combo. Like, Josh van der Fleer's a tackle machine. That's what Jacobson's there to do for the ABs. Conan's there to carry all day, and you would expect the same from Artie Savia. And they've both come with, like, the lock loose forward hybrids. So some similar thinking maybe from both coaches. James, Gibson Park, and Sam Prendergast resume as the 9-10 combo. So kind of like the All Blacks, these are 2 guys who played their club rugby together. Gibson Park has been one of the finest number 9s in world rugby for a while, and from an All Blacks perspective, we would say the same about Cam Roigard, even if he's a bit less on the experience scale. And then Sam Prendergast, kind of like Ruben Love, the less experienced guy who's trying to make that number 10 jersey on. So there's a lot of parallels between both sides. Prendergast, when he's been getting the ball ripping forward, has been playing some great rugby, but the All Blacks might look to exploit him defensively because he's not the biggest tackler in the world, as much as Andy Farrell doesn't like to hear about that. It is just a statistical truth. McCloskey and Ringrose is the midfield. McCloskey has been a man possessed at times for Ireland. He's played 3 weeks in a row now for the Irish at 12, and I think he's just a hard man to deny. I don't know that they were tempted to rest him because they've got Aki in the squad as well, who easily could have played 12, but McCloskey's been getting the meters, the breaks, the offloads, and everything going on. So if you don't watch the Irish team and you're a New Zealand fan, he's a guy to look out for. Ringrose is back in at 13. He could be a bit of a jack of all trades. Balakoon is likewise back fit. He's lightning when he gets going. So good to see him back. Jimmy O'Brien switches wings. And Hugo Keenan is the ultimate bomb diffuser there at fullback for the Irish. Could be potentially chasing a few high balls as well if Gibson Park puts him up. Kelleher, Lockman, and Clarkson is a couple of guys who started last week who are now down to the bench, and Lockman is back in after missing out with concussion for a week. Timony and Jansen both started last week against Japan, dropped to the bench. Both were really high work rate last week. We saw so many carries, so many tackles, and tries from both of those guys. Casey, Frawley, and Aki, so 3 backs on the replacement bench as well. So no real changes in the mentality there. Stats for both sides. The All Blacks, we've seen a lot of carries from the wings. Like Carter had 12 combined with Morby last week on that left wing. Jordan had 16, which is a lot of carries from the boys out wide, and loads of touches for your 9, 10, 15, kind of your key playmaking options. They're getting their hands on the ball a lot for the ABs under Dave Rennie. There's still a question mark under the All Blacks for the high ball for sure, but quick ruck ball, high tempo, high passing is definitely the name of the game. And we have 300 plus passes against the Italians, which is nuts. I don't know if I've ever seen 300 plus passes in a game. The line out has been scrappy. 81%. I've been giving the Irish line out a bit of grief, but the All Blacks has not been any better. 81% is definitely a key area for improvement for the ABs. For the Irish, their top 3 ball carriers last week were like the loose forwards and then McCloskey up the guts. So look for a lot of Conan getting his hands on the ball with those quick passes from Gibbs Park. Josh van der Fleer will be in it as well. And, expect McCloskey to be running very, very direct lines up against the likes of Ruben Love, who isn't that well tested at international level, especially against a team as highly ranked as the Irish for a starting 10. It's an imposing one. The Irish line out, I've been giving it some grief. Like I said, it was great in the Six Nations, but the last couple of weeks it's been bang average. And it directly led to the Japanese first try last week. So they need to get that aspect of their game better. But their turnovers won are generally pretty high, usually around 6 a game, which is more than what we've been seeing from the All Blacks in their first couple of games under Dave Rennie. And as I said, the scrum. Who gets on top at scrum time? I would assume the All Blacks, based on what we've seen of evidence of where the props are at on both sides for the last few years and the injury toll that the Irish guys have got at the minute. But, man, there's no guarantees because, like I said, one team that seems to get on top of another team, then another team plays them and it doesn't seem to work out like it might necessarily. Like the Italians didn't do well against the Japanese, but then did well against the ABs. We'll see. Recent history between the sides is 3-2 in the All Blacks' favour, and it's the most recent 3 games that are all Blacks wins, including at the Rugby World Cup in 2023, including a match at the Aviva in 2024, and including the match at Chicago Soldier Field. But I feel like, were those November matches not the first ones off the Irish season? I feel like we kind of caught them. I would have liked the Irish matches to be at the end of the series in those games. This is the one where we do get it as the 3rd game in the series, so both teams should be as prepped as they can be. Remember, there's an Eden Park result there as well. That would be the 6th match in the recent history between the sides. It's out of the most recent 5 matches now. That was a bit of a big All Blacks win, 42-19. But I seem to remember that game was close, but it had one cluster of points, rapid-fire points scored by the ABs. And remember, the ABs went on to lose that series because they lost the next 2 games. The Irish came and got a famous win over on New Zealand Soil, series win, which was pretty impressive. That being said, the All Blacks are the favourites. The average score is 22-21 to the ABs across the last 5, but the All Blacks are more than 1-point favourites for this one. 8 points with the Rugby Forecast algorithm and 10 points with the bookies. So the New Zealanders are about a try and a bit to the good. Nick Berry is the ref. He's an Aussie, so should be slightly more familiar to the New Zealand lads with his Super Rugby refereeing, but Eden Park factor, surely that's worth a few points. I think literally it's worth a few points, especially if you compare it to Wellington. Like, Wellington is one of the losses that the All Blacks have got in the last 5 when it was 32-22. The All Blacks are just substantially worse in Wellington. They tend to be substantially better at Eden Park, so I would be leaning the All Blacks. But man, the record is on the line. For all those coaches that have been given grief in recent times, Fozzie and Razor and whatnot, they still managed to hold the Eden Park record, so a bit of pressure on Dave for that one. It'd be a pretty sweet feather for Andy Farrell to put in his cap if he were to get that win, but hey, should be a cracking game. I'm very much looking forward to it. You guys let us know your thoughts. Whose scrum gets on top? Who manages to get the line out right? Do the Irish pepper the All Blacks backfield with some high balls, or does the All Blacks high tempo passing game get some width around the Irish guys? You guys let us know your thoughts. If you want rugby gear, maybe All Blacks gear, check out the All Blacks shop down in the description. I like rugby gear, so yeah, check it out. They're an affiliate of the channel. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.